parks to vibrant cultural sites, yet the costs often seem overwhelming. But with Visit Tanzania for Less, exploring this East African gem on a budget is not only possible, but incredibly rewarding. Whether you're a solo backpacker, a volunteer, or just a budget-conscious traveler, we provide valuable insights and resources to make your journey unforgettable without breaking the bank. Book your trip now with just a $300 deposit and flexible monthly payments until your travel date. For more travel inspiration and tips, follow us on Instagram or visit us at visittanzaniaforless.com. Visit Tanzania for Less, your dream adventure within reach.
Muskegon, and welcome to Torn Into Your Show for news, information, and more for this October 11th, 2024. We have a very interesting show going on. We want to thank you for being great listeners and watchers of this show. We have been on for 4 years doing this. 4 years, yes. The only, and I do mean only, doing this in Ski Towns every Friday at 2 o'clock. This program is brought to you by Bishop Custom Series and Entertainment. Remember, for all your needs, see the Bishop. Also, remember that if you're listening to this interview and you would like to review it, as always, as we say, you can go back and review it on all our social media. WDS 103.7 The Beat or M106. And speaking of compadres, my brother in Christ, let me introduce the ability. Not call me twin, but I got to stop saying that. My brother, Pastor Melvin Burns II. How you doing, second?
I'm good, my brother. How are you today?
Doing great.
Good.
There's so much that I want to talk about, but you know what?
It's a lot going on, ain't it, brother?
There's a lot going on. We do want to send our hearts out to North Carolina, and for our prayers are going out to them.
Yes.
And speaking of weather, what's going on in the weather, sir?
Today, if you haven't been out, it's a beautiful, I say fall, it's fall now. Beautiful fall day, low 47, high of 72. Tomorrow, cloudy, low 47, high 65. Sunday, we've got a 40% chance of rain. Low 48, high 59. Things are cooling off a bit. Sunday, low 40, high 53. Tuesday, low 36. Grab your blanket.
Wow.
High of 52. Wednesday, low 43, high 57. Temperature creeps back up next Thursday, low 47, high of 63.
You know what? It's a beautiful thing during this time of season when you see somebody that takes a real vast interest in wanting to change the community.
You know how I feel about it, brother. That's act local.
Right.
Local.
I know we've been interviewing candidates. We'll get back to that the second half with Darrell, Paige.
Yes.
But the story is inspiring. And would you introduce our guest?
This thought, like there's one way. So there's a lot of other ways to serve your community.
A lot of.
Yeah. So our guest today is Marria McIntosh. And we're going to talk to her because she's one of those people that has found some ways to serve her community, have input in her community. We're going to introduce her on and she could talk about herself. So would you welcome to our microphone at Torn Into, Miss Marria McIntosh.
How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
We are doing great. We have a lot to talk about. You have so much information that we have to get out. So let's start. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so again, my name is Marria McIntosh, born and raised in Muskegon.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Kalamazoo for about 12 years, but then I moved back and I fell in love. You know how like when you're young, you're just kind of like, I can't wait to leave. And then when you leave, you go away, you experience life, and then you come back and it's like, oh, this is home, right? And you settle into it and you really become like a part of the fabric of the community. So what do you want to, I mean, because it's a lot of different parts of Marria. So what parts of Marria do you want me to expound on?
How about the part that looking at your resume and about
Mhm.
you, what made you desire just to give back and want to be just change things out there in the community?
So initially, like a little less than three and a half, I mean, I'm sorry, a little less than 3 years ago, I was just your normal, like community member, going about my life, working, coming home, dealing with my daughter, family, so on and so forth. And the area in which I live, they wanted to do some rezoning. And initially, I didn't really understand what that concept was. Obviously, at that time, I wasn't involved in any politics. I wasn't involved in restructuring of the community and what that would look like. But they sent a letter out to the house, and I went down to the chambers, and that room was standing room only. And as I listened to many of the people in the room talk, many of which I knew, grew up around, got in trouble by, all this different stuff, they were using, as I like to say, like that old folk language. So, like how we say things more succinctly. So like if we were going to talk about, so if I was talking to my great grandmother who raised me, about diversity, she wouldn't say diversity. She'd say, "Oh, Marria, I don't want anything all one thing and all the other." There'd be like 5 sentences to describe one thing. And
Right.
so as I'm listening to, my fellow community members, because obviously I speak that language, but then being a person who's also went off to college, I speak the Queen language as well. So as I'm in there and I'm listening to everybody, they were talking about their experiences and how things weren't normal for them anymore, and how the police presence was causing them more issues, and how the rents were going up, and all these different things. And it was these long stories, and many times they were being kind of cut off and redirected. And so one of the last things I did, I went up to the podium, and at that time I didn't know anything about a lot about gentrification. I put it like that. And so I gave them like 3 bullet points on gentrification as I understood it at that time. And so I was just like everybody else. Look, I said my piece. I came out and I went back to my seat, and I was ready for them to adjourn. And when I went to put my little notebook back in my purse, I turned back around, full of the people. And they were saying, "Oh, Marria, I really love what you said." And so for there, I found that there was a need in our community, and that people really had something to say, and they had a voice, and that voice wasn't being magnified, or wasn't being listened to in the way that it should be listened to. In addition to that, as regular community members, you're not educated in that area. So not only was your voice not being heard, but there was no one there to kind of pull that information together and kind of move the needle forward in a positive direction for community. And so over the last little over the almost 3 years, it'll be 3 years in November, we have been growing from just a few little black and brown fists in a commission meeting to a full-blown 501c3, with the goal of countering the negative effects of gentrification. And so we do that in 3 ways. The first two are our primary ways, so impactful community engagement, pathways to home ownership, and then in a supportive area of entrepreneurship.
Okay. When you say we see your name attached to the organization Threads, THREDZ. Are you
Yes.
referring to Threads? And tell people a little bit more about Threads.
Yeah, so when I say so as I said, we're now a 501c3, but we started off, well, initially, I guess it was just one little brown fist. And from there, we pulled together some neighborhood association presidents. At
Mhm.
that time, I didn't even know who all of them was. I didn't even, truth be told, I didn't even know who our ward commissioner was at that time. And so we met with them, and we ended up formulating what we called at that time Coalition 3 in 1C. So that meant 3 neighborhoods, 1 community. And
Okay.
the reason why we said community, a 301C, is because there was 4 areas that was up for rezoning at that time. 3 of which were BIL, which BIL for us stands for Black, Indigenous, and Latinx majority communities. And so out of the interest of protecting or looking out for those minority majority districts, that's when we formulated that 3-in-1C coalition. And then from there, when we doing, we actually commissioned Northeastern University to conduct a study on our behalf on how and what we could do to counter the negative effects of gentrification in our own community. And that actual document is called Investment with Justice. And that was completely done by Northeastern University. They took on that. We didn't have to pay for it. It was free that they offered to our community. They sent a representative here to interview people to just kind of get a feel for it so they could put together a document on not only how we could amplify our voices, but they also talked about who we should be talking to, what it looked like in other communities around the nation, and how we could bring those things back to our community. And then they asked us a question as we were probably about 1/3 of the way through that process. They said, well, you need to identify some organizations in your area that's countering the negative effects of gentrification, that's doing what you say that you as a group, as a coalition, want to target. And so we looked around, we found there weren't any local. There was some like in the on the east side, but specific of the east side of the state, but specifically in our area, not even like in Grand Rapids, where there really an organization doing that. So we had to decide at that moment, like what it is that we wanted to do and how impactful did we want to, or really how impactful did we want to be, but then also based upon capacity, how impactful could we be and what it was going to take to get to that level. So within that, the next few months, we talked about that, and I had to do some soul searching. I really had to consult my Lord and Savior, because when you start to deal with community and you really start to want to affect change, this is something that you have to really commit to. You can't be in it for a moment or in it for yourself or in it for any real personal gain, because see, that will fizzle out. You know, when people start to get on your nerves, when, you know, contracts don't come through, when somebody offers you, you know, a payment so that you can kind of, you know, let things slide, you have to be able to stand on whatever it is that that principle is or that thing that's driving you. And you have to be that person that in that organization that people can come to for the consistency. And when you're flaking out because you have personal interest involved, or you're flaking out because you can't handle the heat, you know, that's not something we take lightly. So I really went in consecration about that. And the Lord just kind of told me, you know, listen, sweetheart, you only got to give it like 25 years. You know, so I committed myself to the process of it for that period. So my working life, I decided that this is what I want to do. And that from an organizational perspective, when we leave, or when God sees fit to put somebody else in my place, this should be the type of organization where people come when they think about accessibility, when they come and think about, like, how can I be a part of community? How can little old me, you know, born in XYZ within, you know, 1, 2, 3 circumstances, how can I become greater, you know, than I ever thought? How can I own a home? How can I not be affected by rising prices and all these different things of renting? And how can I be a homeowner? How can I take really myself and my living and everything back? We really want to be the organization that is community building. How do we be a part of building out the fabric of community so that it withstands all of these ups and downs? And so that's kind of like how we got where we are. And then we we have to decide like what those specific parameters are, strategic initiatives as we call them. And with that being said, there's so many problems out there, especially within our Black and brown communities. And one of my advisors told me, he said, you know what, Marria, you got to pick your little hell and you got to run with that thing. So we have to pick our little slice of hell and work on that thing. And so for us to mitigate or counter the negative effects of gentrification, you really have to change the thought process. You have to really be invested in the human beings that are within that community. Like, how are you going to change the subcultures that live in our heads that told us that, you know what, I don't know nobody who own their home.
Come on.
How am I own a home?
Mhm.
All those different things that live rent free in our head. How are we going to address that? Because we can try to jump over that and offer somebody a financial literacy class or offer somebody a mortgage counseling class. But what is that if you're still living at the base levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? When you're still climbing and scrambling and you dealing with, baby daddy, baby mama issues, and you're dealing with a lack of resources, and you're dealing with, a parent that might have been discouraging to you, or, and all those things build up inside of you, not to mention the limitations that society places on you as Black and brown people, or Black and brown females or males within our community. Like, how come I can't just be me and walk down the street and not worry about, do I look suspicious? Is a police officer going to pull me over? All these things that don't live rent free in our counterparts' head. We have to break down those systems. How do we do that? In order to even get you to home buyer ready, right? To even get you to a point where you think that you're worthy of being a homeowner, that you're worthy of living out your dreams and your purpose. That as I say, because I'm a faith person, not a perfect person, got a lot of sins going on, but how can you live out those things? So that's like our community engagement piece of it, like breaking down that piece. And then it's like, okay, so after you've done this, then what are you gonna do? You're just gonna let people like stand around and say, okay, I got all this knowledge, I'm a better person, I'm looking at the trajectory or increasing the trajectory of my life. If you don't have anything tangible to give them, right, on the opposite end of that. So that's where our commercial real estate developments come into place. And I really had to learn that piece. I really had to learn. So right now, I don't know if you can see my background. I'm actually sitting in downtown Detroit. I'm looking out the window, looking at Comerica Park, because yesterday I was at a conference in Chicago for developers. And today I'm in training for developers. And I've been in the training for the last year, because if you want to be impactful, you can't just continue to be, as my daughter coined me, you can't continue to be just Malcolm X Marria, mama. You have to be somebody who's able to take, your little brown fish that you're raising and be able to connect that with something tangible. And if you're not evolving mentally and educationally, you're not even going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to bring that together, because you're not going to know what a performer is. How are you going to put that project together? You got all these pipe dreams on. You're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to have this big old project, it's going to look like this. That's why they draw it out for you, but you don't even know how it works. You don't even you don't understand the underwriting that goes along with it. You don't understand your capital stack. You don't understand your sources and uses. You don't understand how all your soft costs, your permanent financing, all these different things playing in it, not to mention the feasibility of the project. Like, you have to understand where it sits, how it sits in terms of like economic development, not from our personal perspective. Like, okay, I think my community is Taj Mahal. I think that my community can do this, but from a financial lens, when you're looking at it from a banking lens, not from a personal lens, how does that measure up? How do you take the little brown Malcolm X Marria fist over here, and how do you make that line up with what your funders want to see, what the banks want to see, with equity partners want to see? Because you have to make if you're building community, you have to build it out with the fabric of community in mind, but you also have to build it out because you ain't got $48 million, right? So somebody got to fund it. So, even though these people are mission driven and they have good hearts, they're not giving away $48 million without some type of return. And they want to make sure that as they're investing in you as an individual, as you as an organization, as you as a community, that you're going to be able to carry out that income or that cash flow at least through the duration of the project. And so learning what that means meant that I had to go back to school. And if we were going to be effective as an organization, we just had to become better educated.
We have, I'm going through some stuff with my daughter and her husband. They're trying to get their first home. Speak to them, because they're just frustrated that they can't get that home. They went to school, they went to college, they have the two kids, but buying that first home has been real hard. Speak to those individuals.
So, I mean, so there's different levels to it, right? There's the level that I just talked about, where it's the people who may not be making the income necessary, or may not even have a mindset at that particular time to be able to capitalize on the different type of investments or opportunities that's coming to our community. But then there's the other part, the part that you're speaking of. I think the coin term for it now is the missing middle. So with those missing middle people, there's still a gap, right? And so in numbers, when you're to the percentage that I was speaking of before, that percentage, you're looking at people who are medium income. So the area medium income for Muskegon County rest around, last time I checked, around $57,000 a year. Okay, now that is not necessarily what your neighbor is making.
Right.
Not necessarily what you're making a year. When you break that down on a more micro level, the city household medium incomes look about like 37,000 for like the city of Muskegon, 34,000 for the city of Muskegon Heights. So those numbers are almost half of what it is that even the area medium income is for those areas. But so when you're looking at that, when we're talking about the lower brackets of so for this sake, we're gonna go with the higher number, which is the area medium income. So when you're looking at the $57,000 mark, that sits at what we call about the 60% AMI range. Now, many people within our community don't make that. They might make around the $34,000 range. You get into some of the other specialty jobs, then you're probably making the $57,000. But that's still only 60% of the AMI. That's still considered low and moderate income for these areas. So when you're taking two people, like let's say both of them are making $60,000 a year, so we're looking at $120,000 a year in income. You still have to meet like some of the mortgage requirements, right? So for Michigan, if you're going to be housing burden, you consider housing burden if you're paying over 30% of your income out to housing. And so when people initially think about that, they're thinking, okay, my mortgage is, less than 30% or 30% of my income. But no. When you're thinking about that, you're taking all those factors into consideration. So if I had to think in numbers, if a house is built for $230,000, right, and a person is making $60,000 a year, that $60,000 a year, about $1,500 a month would be considered like 30% of that income. Okay. But we're thinking, okay, but then when you throw that $230,000 into a mortgage calculator, let's say at even a simple interest rate of like 7% over a 30-year period, you're looking at $1,530 a month just for a mortgage. They're going to say, even though that person is making $5,000 a month, they're going to say that that house isn't affordable for them, because that's the going rate for houses these days. They're going to say that that's not affordable for them, because when you factor in house insurance, you factor in utilities, all that, you're looking at really a lift at like $2,200 a month that you need to withstand to stay below that 30% mark that they're looking at. So sometimes, like, even though we're making money, we're like, I got good credit, all that. The banks and the mortgages are looking at a lot of different factors that go into that. And so we're not always competitive because unlike some of our counterparts, we don't come to the table with the full 5 C's, right? We don't come to the table with the collateral, right? We don't come to the table with the credit history. We might have the credit score right now, but they're looking at the past. They're sometimes going back a 5-year look back period, depending on where you're going. You're not taking into consideration the collateral that you're able, the to put up. I'm sorry, the credit, your character. They take that into consideration. You know, all those things, the previous relationships that you have with banks, all these things that come very naturally for many of our counterparts, that doesn't come naturally for people within our community. So when you're putting in these applications, oftentimes we don't measure up because we haven't been taught. You know, we've been just kind of scraping and scrambling and getting ourselves together and trying to make ends meet for our family. And now we're like, okay, I'm at a point where I want to do it. But they're like, yeah, we're not just looking at today, we're looking at all of this too.
Now you got so much. I mean, wow, you've thrown so much. You you got 2 events coming up
Yes,
that people need. You need to talk to people about
absolutely.
because the half hour is gone. So can you please talk to people about these events because you have a whole lot to say.
Okay, all right. So, I'll be very brief. We do have 2 events. So, one, I'm going to start with the call to the city of Muskegon Heights. So, for the city of Muskegon Heights on October 17th, our organization is we have a proposal in with the city to redevelop the former King Elementary School. That is an 8.4-acre site. As I said before, we redeveloped with the fabric of community involved. So, with that being said, on this particular day, we're bringing in our entire team. And I want you to understand how significant that is. That is a $21,000 lift for our organization because people don't travel for free. Our LIHTC attorneys come from Detroit. Some of my partners are, out of state. These people are coming in and they money, time is money, right? So when all the people are coming to the table, and you'll be able to not only see myself as Threads and the owner's rep for the Coalition of Equity Investors, but you'll also be able to see our general contractor, who is a multi-million-dollar company. You are able to see our historic preservationist. Speaking of which, we are in the second phase. We've passed the state requirement for King Elementary School being put on the National Registry as a historic site. We will have our architects that will be in the building and our lawyers. But then also what we're going to be talking to people about is how does that equate to dollars and cents for the city of Muskegon Heights? Like how does that look in property taxes? How does that look in water consumption? How does that look in income taxes? You'll be able to follow the money and see how this project can be a launching pad for all the other different wonderful things that the Heights has going on. And we need your input to make this project come together. So please come out. That's October 17th at 5:30. It's going to be at the current MLK Elementary School. That's 55, I believe, East Sherman. In the city of Muskegon Heights. And the second one I'm really excited about. This is a youth-driven event. This is our second annual Rap with Your Rep event. Our babies, ranging from the ages of 13, we only have one 16-year-old, so pretty much 13 through 16, they are going to be leading this Rap with Your Rep event. And the overall purpose of this event is really to amplify our voices and bring our the individuals that represent us, so Rap with Your Rep, the individuals that represent us into one collective space that you can rap with them. You can talk with your congresswoman. She has RSVPs. You can talk to your state rep. They'll be that. And then they'll be hosting the lieutenant governor. That is I like to tell people because people kind of no, this is a big deal. He is the Kamala Harris of Michigan, right? If anything ever happened to Big Gretch, he's second in command, right?
Right.
He is coming to our community to talk to us about us. So the first hour, you're going to be able to walk around and talk to him and about the issues and concerns of Muskegon Heights, Muskegon. That's going to be open. It's going to be a brunch. It's going to be catered by Sofield Catering. And then you're going to go into what is called our Rap with Your Rep panel, keynote and panel. And so he's going to give the keynote, but then on the panel is going to be actually 6 individuals. Originally it's supposed to be 5, but the youth wanted an additional person. So the youth picked the questions, the youth came up with the panel, the youth came up with the concept, all those different things. And they're going to have and I'm going to share with you a couple of people that's going to be on panel. Congresswoman Shelton is going to be on that panel. Representative Snyder is going to be on that panel, and then you're going to have 4 additional people that represent our community on that panel. Now I have to release all of that by the 12th, so you all have that information by that time. But all of those people are going to be there, and those youth have come up with questions that are important to them. Because see, they're our next level leaders, right, for our community. But they have come up with questions that's relative to them, their families, and their communities. And that will be, and they're very educated questions. I think tomorrow we'll have our 3rd mock panel, and they'll have at least 2 more before we actually are on stage on that Saturday. But that is October 19th. That is from 10 to 1 p.m. Please come out. All our events are free to the public. For that one, because of security purposes, it is a nonpartisan event. We have security. We have lots of security on staff that day. But we're asking that everybody register, pre-register, because you're going to have to register anyway. Either you're going to have to register at the door or you pre-register, and it'll be a simple process of walking in and getting your food and hanging out. But yeah, so that's what we got going on.
Thanks for joining us. Real quick, because we're out of time, how can folks get in contact with you and your organization?
So you can contact us anytime on the website. It is www.threads.org. That's THREDZ.org. You can always email myself personally. So it's Marria, 2 R's, Marria @threads.org, or be the change @threads.org. And then you can, I think my cell phone number is located on the website. You can just reach out at that time too.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to those 2 events coming up in the next 10 days. And we'll look forward to having you back on and talking to you some more.
All right. Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day. All right. We're down at the bottom of the hour. Coming up is Commissioner Darrell Paige, who's running to retain his seat. We're going to take a commercial break. You were Pastor Melvin Burns and Gregory T. Roberts on Turner 2, October 11, 2024. We'll see you in a couple seconds.
What's something people don't know about community impact? A simple donation could transport kids to the heart of Ghana, opening a world of possibilities. Since 2017, thanks to 103.7, The Beat and community supporters like you, dozens of kids have embarked on a journey of a lifetime to Ghana. This isn't just any trip. It's filled with learning, adventure, and joy. These kids are diving into a culture rich in tradition. They're learning about the world beyond their textbooks. This program educates and connects communities, building bridges. Your support can light up a child's life. It's an exploration of potential and a celebration of new friendships. Donate today at kidsfreetriptoafrica.com. Every donation matters. Please donate today at kidsfreetriptoafrica.com. Thank you.
The wait is over. The all-new Umoja Radio Network, home to over 40 Black-owned radio stations and podcasts, is here for you. Connect to the world's fastest-growing collection of unapologetically Black and proud media, from podcasts to independent Black-owned radio stations, and access to the important news and music you need. Umoja Radio is from our culture, by our culture, for our culture. The all-new Umoja Radio is available right now on Google Play and the Apple Store. Join the movement. Be empowered.
When smoking gives you COPD, you learn to lie a little bit. You make up excuses like, I have to get my keys. You guys go on. Anything so you can walk at your own pace. I used to do that all the time. Those lies don't work anymore. My tip is, the worst lies are the lies you tell yourself. Like smoking isn't that dangerous.
You can quit. For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
And welcome back to Torn in Two this October 11th, 2024.
We're here again, back in the studio. Our guest in the studio now is the Muskegon County Commissioner. I want to say District 6?
District 7.
District 7. You may know him as County Commissioner, former mayor, former council member, Mr. Darrell Paige. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mr. Burns, Mr. Roberts.
How you doing, sir?
I am doing fine. Long time no see.
Long time no see. Tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is, for those who don't know me, my name is Darrell Paige. I was born and raised here in Muskegon Heights, Michigan. Well, Muskegon, but, you know, we say Muskegon Heights, Michigan. All the hospitals are in Muskegon. So I have to be proper and say Muskegon. But I actually went to school in Muskegon Heights and lived in Muskegon Heights for most of my juvenile life and stuff. And went to school at Grand Valley, where I received a degree in communications and business. Came back out, did some traveling, right, quite extensively across the country. Came back, started working for the Muskegon Heights Public School System. Was married to my lovely wife, Dr. Michelle Lloyd Paige. We have 3 adult children now. Terrence, my youngest, Adrian, my middle, and Kevin, my oldest, who a lot of you may know, you went to school with. When I was working at Muskegon Heights Public Schools, the majority of the time I worked services, and I also worked as the dean of students for a lengthy time. As Muskegon Heights went through its transition, I went down to Muskegon and worked for about a year as the dean of students and stuff. And then I was, they went in different directions, which was good for me at the time because I had some ill family members and stuff. So there was one other brother who was here with me at the time in Muskegon Heights, and I had one brother in Muskegon, but my mother and my other brother fell ill, so I pulled out to help my other brother take care of my brother and my mother. Around that time too, I was finishing my final term as mayor in the city of Muskegon Heights, which I told him when I became mayor I only wanted like 2 terms and stuff because it takes 4 years to actually get your plans and your things in progress and pull your council together. And then the next 4 years and you're instituting everything, getting everything on the move and stuff. And it worked out exactly that way. We did some good things, kind of stabilized the budget, got everything tight. And it was a good time and stuff. It wasn't a large amount that we had in the black, but it hadn't been in the black for a while. So we got it there and we got some of the projects back going again and stuff. And after about 7 years, my brother and my mother both passed within probably a year and a half of each other. And I was sitting there in semi-retirement saying, you know, what did your dad used to say all the time? And he said, you know, if you're going to be in a place, you need to be a part of that place.
Right.
And you need to help that place grow. So I've always done that with Muskegon Heights, whether it's been advocating for the kids in the school, whether it be Muskegon Heights or Muskegon, and advocating for the residents in the city of Muskegon Heights at that time. Now, I advocate for the county of Muskegon and stuff, even though it's District 7, which is 1 through 4, precincts 1 through 4, Muskegon Heights, 6, 7, 8, and 6, 7, 9,
6, 8, 9,
6, 8,
11.
9, 11 of Muskegon, and 4 of the Northern Shores, precincts 4 of Northern Shores. I'll say 7. They say, you always hear, yeah, you have to advocate for your district. Well, I do, but a county commissioner advocates for the whole county.
Right.
You want the whole county to succeed, so all precincts, all cities will be prosperous.
So some of the questions, what we try to do is the canned questions we've asked all the candidates. So what are some of the things that you're proud, and how long have you served as a commissioner?
This is my first term, so what happened, I came in right after they decided they were going to do the redistricting. So,
Okay.
When I was coming in, it was actually Muskegon Heights was District 1. So when they redistricted, it was 7, incorporating some of the cities, other cities, precincts of the other cities. And that was my first term. Actually, when they went into the new perspective in 2025, we'll go to a 4-year term instead of a 2-year term.
Makes sense.
Which will allow us to do a lot more work and not concentrate so much on doing the 1 year and then going into
Campaign mode.
But I want to tell you something. With me, it's not a problem because I tell my colleagues all the time and stuff, I said, campaign, we're not stressed about coming in doing meetings or doing interviews during this time because we actually campaign all year long and stuff. I receive calls all year long and stuff, and I encourage people to do that. My phone number has never changed. It's always been in the book. It's the same one. Even though I do have a cell phone number, I still have my line number. So I may get calls from people in my own district. I may get calls from people in other districts trying to get a better understanding of what's going on with certain projects. So we talk to people all year long, and if we're not, then the change needs to be made. It's not just campaign time. We're teed all year long.
Right.
We tee that ball up all year long.
I think we should talk. So what are some of the things in your 2-year term you've accomplished and things you look forward to getting your hands on in the next term?
Oh, yeah, that's good. Well, one, the county budget was always in pretty good shape. I mean, with the American Restoration Act money, which I found out was, but it costs a lot to run the county and stuff. So I think, first of all, our administrators do a very good job there in terms of managing and presenting a balanced budget to the commission. The other things what I'm proud of is I was put on, and we have Chairman Nash placed me on the Public Works Board and committee, and I'm also on transportation as the vice chair. I'm the chair of Public Works, and I'm the chair of course in public safety, which I think is like some awesome committees. I love the challenge and stuff. So I'm proud of the fact that coming in, I can't take full credit for it because the money was always there. What's already there is that in the court systems, we're able to go and refurbish the court systems, give the judges and the sheriff, some of the things that they wanted. Found out that some of the things were lacking, but you got to understand, especially in the sheriff's position, he came in new. So, my question was to, Sheriff Pullen was like, hey, some of these things were lacking in the sheriff's department in terms of jail and so on. And he said, yeah, we're trying to get those straight. And I said, we'll do whatever we can to help you do that, to make it a safe and more safe environment. But I said, why wasn't the old part taken down? He said, well, Commissioner, he said, that was before I was a sheriff. Because a lot of times when you're setting a campaign to do something new and the whole county's involved in paying for that, you usually work in a deal to take down the old structure too.
Right.
And since there's so much metal and aluminum and stuff in there, you also give them the salvage rights to bring that price down.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and that didn't happen. So that's some of the things we're working into now. The courts are beautiful. I mean, it's like it gives them space. They're working on rearranging some things now and stuff because a rate study was actually asked for before I got there and stuff, and was in the process of going through that then. So there was some problems with it, I guess. And they asked for some other things and stuff, but basically, the company that came in, I think that the unions had a say in, who it was, and I think they agreed and stuff. And then they went through the process of putting in their proposals for who's going to work and how they're going to work, their descriptions. They're a part of that. And when it came out, everybody wasn't as happy to see it was some things that were lacking. So we're in the process of going through changing that. And it's been, it's been difficult because a lot of the units have to, go back through and realize that, that money's there. You're going to work within that frame.
Right.
And the county can put some in, but you're still going to have to work within that frame. So they're readjusting and redistributing things in terms of the responsibilities of some of the workers. I think that's working out fine for them and stuff. We want to give them what they want so they can be as great serving the community as they need to be. The other thing is that being on Public Works, we have that gigantic solar array that's going out there across from the landfill, which I thought was an excellent choice. And at the time it's going to be completed, it's going to be probably one of the largest ones in Michigan, but that doesn't stay for long and stuff. It's always one coming this large. Okay, so we're excited about that. We're also excited about the Southeast Force Main. It's a regional force main that's going from our landfill all the way over to Coopersville to kind of help out with some of the systems that distribute into that. But between the two in Ravenna, we have Fairlight Dairy, which has some of the best chocolate milk ever. It's filtered milk was really good. I've been drinking it before I knew they were here. You have Continental Dairy out there. You have Swanson Pickles out there and stuff. And that area is growing. That Southeast Force Main is going to be able to help that area grow and supply what it needs to, be successful out there. So we're excited about that. And then the other thing that I'm super excited about, because I'm the chair of transportation, the assistant chair, vice chair, Marsha Wright is the chair, is that we got a jet carrier into Mesquite.
Yes.
Yes. We actually love that because the last carrier we had all kind of problems. I mean, for the time I stepped on the commission, I was hearing about all these problems. And when they came and they made the proposals, we said Denver Air is the one for us and stuff, And one of their big things was, we fly good, but we have full-size snacks. Nobody has that. So, groundbreaking about 2 weeks ago, they flew the jet in. I mean, when that bird came in, I was just smiling. So, jet, 50 passenger seats. I stepped on it. And I say, Mr. Robertson, you're a little bit taller than me. I'm telling you, I was comfortable sitting in the seat. So I know you're going to be comfortable as well. They can fly over Lake Michigan.
Nice.
And,
instead of following the route.
It's certain things, it's going to be a route right now. One thing impressed me the most being in listening to the interviews. I wasn't one of the interview staff I was listening to. So I thought it was, great that I'd be there to hear that. Is that the CEO said, we fly about 30 hours a week and stuff.
Wow.
And I said, wow. And he said, the other thing is, he said, a lot of the pilots, younger pilots who come in, or the new pilots will come in straight out of some academy or training, and they learn on other jetliners and stuff. He said, not ours. He said, we also have a commercial, well, not a commercial, a freight line. Key line and stuff. And he said they start off there. They fly over the Rockies without pilot assist. That means they can fly. Okay. Because they're not using pilot assist and stuff. They don't have it. So that means they can fly. They can adjust on their seats and stuff. I said, that's the planes I want to be on and stuff, And I told the CEOs when they came in, I said, I would much rather fly out of Muskegon. I said, I always did. And I said, because when I came back in, it was better for me to drive 15 minutes on the way home than an hour or something. Have to go through, getting my car, paying $120 for parking if I was going on the weekend. Well, Muskegon County, we have a very good airport manager in Kim Ethne,
Okay.
and we're gonna have free parking out there. They're redoing the terminal.
Wow.
He got a grant where they're gonna be redoing one of the runways, which is why they're not gonna have the air show this coming year.
Okay.
The following year will be up there because they're gonna be redoing one of the airways. That's gonna be one of the I say airways, one of the tarmacs.
Mhm.
Are they lengthening the runway?
They're gonna lengthen it some and they're gonna widen it some. It's just gonna be, some of them break down after years. So this was one of the things, new lighting, new lighting on the track to make sure it's safe. So all that's gonna be going on within the year coming up. Excited about that. And just the fact that, we do get a lot of response from our constituents, who may call in on, because all our meetings are, like online.
Yeah.
And so if they're not there, if it's not a concern and they're online, they may chime in and ask a question. You can always do that as a listener to any one of your commissioners and to the total commission to ask questions. That is exciting to me and stuff. I think besides the fact that, there's a almost mix of Republicans and Democrats, I think we get along pretty good. We agree to disagree. I mean, we don't have the same thoughts or ideologies and stuff, but we know what's best for the county as a whole. And when that comes, we do the right thing.
Which brings me to two questions. The first question is, what is some of the things that you're hearing out there when you're campaigning? And two, have you as a commissioner been able to work across the aisle?
I have, it's not always straight. I listen to, I was kid with Commissioner Chair Nash. It's like, you set me right in the middle. And I say, I don't know if you know it or not, but I say I can deal with the middle well. Because I talk to everybody to the left of me. I talk to everybody to the right of me. I get along with them. We understand each other. We respect each other. We may not vote together. I mean, Commissioner Sear and I joke about it all the time. And so he'll say, that's my brother from another mother. He's just blue and I'm red and stuff. So and I say, well, that's your fault. But and we joke about that and joke about it constantly. But Zach Laren, good guy. Michelle Kazenkamp, good person and stuff. And I know they're in elections with Democrats, and I wish everybody well. But it's the people's choice and stuff. Who put it in. That's even with me. If I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and you think I'm supposed to be doing, and not answering your questions correctly. And that's the way I feel all while I've been in politics. I serve the people. I don't serve myself. I don't try to get anything out of it. I always tell people, I'm not a wealthy person. You can't buy me, because I have respect, I have honor, and I have integrity. So, and it's always been for the people. That's what my dad instilled in me.
Mr. Paige, two things. Your career in local government, I don't know about the other commissioners. Do you feel like that's helped you serving at the county level?
It has. Believe me, it was a learning curve. So, it's not the same as local city government. It's a learning curve. And I had to look at some things. And as I said, that I was talking about the Republicans on council. Well, the Democrats on council are equally fine. To be with you, I'm not going to bypass them because, Marsha Harvey Wright, Jessica Cook, and of course, Commissioner Nash, all are good. I think are good people. I get along with pretty much anybody and stuff, And when we don't, we just agree to disagree. And we still have conversation. It's respect. So, I think being there has been a learning curve. But you always look to the person who's been there a while, and I always say has the wisdom and knows where all the bones are buried. And that's Commissioner Nash. So, I listen to him, and even though I'm older and I've been in city government long, he's been on commission long. So he knows the ins and outs, and he can recall stuff, just off the tip in terms of, what's going on. And when he's talking about it, I'm absorbed, and that's what any of the commissions, because Zach Lane has a lot of information too, as he's going along and stuff, So I listen to both sides and stuff, and they all have good information, and just have to disseminate and see what's going to be best for, again, your constituents in the county, in your district.
Question, because time is flying. Is that
I talk a lot.
I'm sitting at home and election time is getting near. Why should I get up and vote for Darrell Paige?
Well, Darrell Paige, if you look at his, and particularly myself, you look at my background, my track, the only thing I've ever served since I worked in the school system with the kids, it was integrity and trying to be a good advocate for the kids and stuff. And my kids also went to Muskegon Heights, so they were there when I was there. So, so you know, it's like a lot of kids, we had good relationships. I had good relationship with, even though I had to suspend some, you know, I always told them why, the reason, you know, you always get the reason to try to get them to understand. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Right.
But, you know, they come back, and I've had a lot who come back recently as adults and say, you know, it's Paige, I knew I was pretty terrible when I was in school. And I say, well, how was you at one time?
Right.
It's no difference.
Right.
But, you know, so I understand. And I say, I'm glad you realize that, because it's better to realize it later than never at all. Stuff, you know, and it's, the same thing goes with adults and stuff. You know, I've been in the community for a long time. A lot of people know me when I first ran. As a young person, I had to reestablish my name with my face, because a lot of people knew my face and they didn't know my name. A lot of people knew my name and didn't know my face, even though I saw them every day. You know, so it was interesting for that. But for the most part, people know I have honor and integrity, and I have experience in leadership. And that's going to make for a good person to help run your county. You can come talk to me anytime and stuff, whether it's election time or not. You know, you can call me on the phone, which people have. So, some, you know, former students have called me, asking me from various questions in terms of what's going on with the city, what's going on with the county, because like Commissioner Nash, I still have a lot of history for Muskegon Heights and stuff. So, you know, I try to show up there from time to time, or I may get a call from a council person saying, hey, you know, you were on there. What do you know about this? And I said, well, let me go in my archives and stuff. I still have some information on that in my basement. So I say, you know, I know about particular units of the government for the city of Muskegon Heights. I'm learning about more units of government for the county and stuff, and how it actually operates. And like I say, it's a learning curve, not far off, but enough that I need to pay attention and be alert, you know, as to what's going on, so I can make adequate choices for the residents of the county.
What do you see as the biggest challenges for the next 4 years for the county commission?
It's going to always be funding. It's going to always be money. That's anything and stuff. You know, you have it, you want more to make your county more successful and stuff. And I said, you know, hey, you're looking to the south, you got Ottawa now. I say, they're a bigger county, they have a lot more money and stuff, and a lot more companies there. One thing I talk about all the time and stuff is that in Muskegon County has to be, you know, it has to be a county that serves everyone. Okay. And sometimes I get into discussions about, you know, Muskegon Heights and how I felt it was bypassed when I was there, what we're trying to do to get it more recognized and stuff. Muskegon is doing some excellent things and stuff. I always tell people, hey, the residual effect from that is going to be, once it comes to completion, those people are going to still be here, and they're going to want to do things other places and stuff. I say, Muskegon County is a jewel in itself. We're located in a perfect place. The water. People are starting to understand that. And one thing you're talking about, and I heard Marria and I talk about it all the time, is the price points of houses and stuff, you know, and how certain cities don't seem to care that you can't afford the house. Well, no, they do care. But the thing is that you have developers who have to make their money as well. And they will make their money. So they'll tell you, I can't build a house for that. Not unless, you know, you're bringing in the brownfields, the TIFs, everything to help, you know, lower that price for the residents to buy a house and stuff. So you have different price points, but you got to understand, you're not going to get the duplex 3-floor, you know, house for, you know, $150,000.
No.
You know, it's not going to happen and stuff. You may not get a basement for $100,000.
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's what some of the challenges is, because some people don't understand that a lot of time. But like I make an analogy, I say, in 1954, loaf of bread cost 25 cents. Look at what it costs now. Inflation always goes up and stuff. So those are the things we're dealing with and trying to get it down. The dollar is being weakening. It doesn't go as far as it does. It doesn't have the status it does. You'll find a lot of people are looking at gold and silver now to kind of pad that and put that off, because they're looking at probably like a breakdown in currency and stuff. I think they're going to be able to manage that
Mhm.
and keep it straight and stuff and do some good things if the candidate I'm looking for is elected. And I won't go either way, but yeah, the candidate I'm looking for has integrity. Okay. And it's not up with 36 counts. Okay. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, okay. As Darrell Paige running for the District 7 Commissioner, final words to Melvin Burns.
Hey, folks have been hit with storms down in South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida. They seem like they're a million miles away, but they're not that far away. Find a way to, if you can't do anything but pray, send a donation, send some thoughts, check on your family. You know, when one thing happens miles away, you know what happens to us here. So
Right.
let's reach out and show those folks some love.
And climate change is real, people. Candidate Gore said it 25 years ago, and nobody believed him until chunks of ice started breaking off in Antarctica that were the size of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And now
Yes.
everybody's wondering why it's so hot or cold or why the water's rising and why we have so much strong wind. It's because of climate change.
All right.
All right.
22, my good brother Greg Roberts. I'm Melvin Burns, Commissioner Paige. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Take care.